Look at the tight end go! An extra gear for the freshman. Zappy looking to Jared Stearns, who makes the catch and scores. What a burst! Trayvon Henderson, as advertised, touchdown Buckeyes!
This is Chasing the Natty, a college fantasy football podcast. All right, welcome to another Mock Draft Live. I messed that up. Good Lord. My apologies, y'all, but this is what happens when we're live. Welcome to another CFF Mock Draft Live. This is the fourth one we've done this offseason, and we've got another guest on to help us out with it, and that is Mr. Josh Chevalier over there from Fantasy Points, driving the CFB content over there, just absolutely killing it lately. Josh, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Doing well, man. Glad to be on here with you, and looking forward to another mock draft. These have been fun so far.
Yeah, no, these, again, I love these. It's just fun interaction times. Speaking of which, for those of you who are in the chat, we got a couple of you already. First of all, hit the like button. It's free. It's easy. Just click on that little thumbs up button right there. It helps us get into more people's recommendations. As well as just take the link to this, send it to your buddies and everything who might be either CFF guys or maybe they're just college football fans, and just give them a place to come hang out for a little bit. We talk everything over here. So all that and more. And again, we got about 10 minutes here as usual before the actual draft starts. So if you got any questions and everything, stuff you want me and Josh to talk about before the draft actually begins, go ahead and just start dropping that in the chat. Again, we're pretty flexible. There's no set criteria as to what we can and can't talk about. I mean, obviously you want it to be college football, but if you really want to know what kind of sandwich me and Josh order when we go to Subway or something like that, I'm down to talk about Subway sandwiches.
Subway, love it.
Okay, now that I brought that up and everything, Josh, where's your go-to sandwich shop?
Ooh, my go-to sandwich shop right now is Jimmy John's.
Solid choice.
I'm all about Jimmy John's. Pretty basic though, a turkey tom, so all turkey, some mayonnaise, a little bit of lettuce. It makes me feel like I'm a little bit healthy, even though subs aren't healthy at all. But
nah, see, Publix, the pub subs are
what do you get?
I get the ultimate.
What do you get from Publix?
I get the ultimate. Okay. So you get the roast beef, you get the turkey, you get the ham, get some Swiss cheese, mayo on both sides. I don't really get anything else on it. I'm a simple man, but I do like it toasted. I will get it nice and hot every time.
So are you a sucker for a tender pub sub, or are you not on the tender pub sub?
So I love my ultimate so much that it's hard for me to order anything else but it. I have heard great things about the chicken tender sub, and I should have it one of these days, but and my girlfriend raves about it all the time because she's had it several times, and I'm like, I just love my ultimate. It's just comfort food for me at this point.
I get it. So do you toss it in the buffalo sauce, or does your girlfriend toss it in the buffalo sauce and all that, or is it just a straight?
I think she just eats it straight. I think she just eats it how they give it to her.
Okay. Yeah, but man, when I was in Florida, we used to toss it in buffalo sauce and do it all up and provolone cheese on top. It was amazing. We love our tender pub subs in Florida.
Oh yeah, dude, Publix in Florida is it's just another level. I thought we had a lot of Publixes in Georgia and everything like that. No, Florida is a completely different game. When I went down to Miami around New Year's and everything like that, there's a Publix on every other street corner. It felt like.
Yeah, Publix is no joke, and Publix is from my hometown in Lakeland, Florida. Actually, also the hometown of Jalen Glover right here. But
I love that poster behind you, by the way. That's so cool.
Yeah, thanks, man. I how to support the guy, man. NIL deals, get this guy some money in his pocket. I'm sure he'll appreciate it at some point.
Okay, here's a question. Okay, Ryan says he's liked, shared, and is now praying because he's so Ryan. This is his first CFF draft ever, so. He's learning tonight, so we'll go not as hard on him and everything, but I really appreciate him joining. Corey Cavander, this is a question for you, Josh. Any other James Madison wide receivers worth a flyer outside of Chris Thornton?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know. JMU's got horrible coverage. Like, I guess like the guys you look at it, like Reggie Brown would be one. I know Andrew Catt said there's a guy from Monmouth coming in. But I only really know Chris Thornton and anybody outside of that. Reggie Brown's the other one I've heard so much of, which mind you of an old Georgia wide receiver, right? From back in the day. Wasn't there Reggie Brown or something? That played for Georgia?
Think so, maybe.
I could be wrong. I think that's like 10, 15 years ago. But anyways, Reggie Brown would be the other one that I would kind of look at that I've heard some pub on. But
I'm trying to find that Monmouth wide receiver you're talking about, because I know of him. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I can't remember his name.
Terrence Green Jr. Green Jr. If I remember correctly, he broke several records at Monmouth. So somebody definitely keep an eye on. So
he could be the secondary guy, but Chris Thornton I think is going to be the guy. Here's the other thing is they don't throw the ball a lot at JMU. They're mainly a running team, and
I mean they killed it last year in terms of throwing, because I think Chris Thornton had
they funneled a lot of targets. Yeah, they funneled a lot of targets to two guys. But what was there? Do you have the pass run split up there?
I don't have it on. Actually, I could probably look it up on the guide real quick. But just looking at their statistics on ESPN last year, they threw it for 422 times last year. So again, you're right, not a crazy amount, but again, when you have a guy who's averaging 9 yards, 9 yards per attempt, I'd say that's pretty efficient.
I mean that's the name of their game, right? They're gonna run a lot, do a lot of power run schemes, and then they're gonna throw it over the top on you a lot of explosive plays.
Yeah, both Wells and Thornton got 83 receptions last year. So again, if they do funnel it to two guys again, that'll be great.
Yeah, that'll be pretty incredible. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what JMU does. I mean, I think they're going to be able to come up and do well in FBS, especially the Sun Belt.
I think their win total is like 6, 7.5 or something like that. Like people expect them to kind of compete right away.
Yeah, and that's it's super interesting. I mean, you did see App State come in and do some stuff right away.
Georgia Southern as well.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, JMU, they've competed for 2 national titles, won a third one. So they've been as good as anybody not named North Dakota State for the last 7 years in FBS.
That's true. That's true. I'm curious to see with all this realignment going on and everything, if more FCS programs will take it as an opportunity to jump up to the FBS. I don't think North Dakota State will, because they have a really good thing going on. I just don't think they're looking for a reason to suddenly be the small fish in a big pond. By the way, Corey says that Reggie Brown was a wide receiver at Georgia, but he's about 40 years old now, so it isn't him.
Yeah. But the old Georgia wide receivers, how I remember Reggie Brown from back in the day.
Yes.
So I'm aging myself at this point, though.
It's all good. It's all good. I'll be there one day.
Yeah. Sooner than you would like, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. All right. I just realized I need to put my cue up here. Who is messaging me right now? Is this a mock or a best ball? Matt asks. Both. Both? Question mark?
Yes.
Yes. All right, Kenny Linson, welcome to the chat, man. He just says, let's go, fellas. All right, draft is starting now. Josh, you have the 5th pick. I have the 8th pick. You have some kind of voodoo that goes on with you, Josh, to where you always have an early pick. So what's it like being down here at the 5th pick? What are you looking for here?
I don't know, man. These are no man's land for me. I think I'm gonna go A.T. Perry. I just like my wide receivers. I'm gonna try to get
that's overall pick.
Early,
I was in an eliminator where he went in the 2nd round. He fell to the 2nd round.
Can I get in that eliminator?
Dude, it's been. Let me tell you the start I had for one of the eliminators. Brandon. And my start was JSN, Cedric Tillman, Miles Price.
Stop. Where did you get JSN? What pick?
102.
Wow. So Tillman fell to the end of the second round?
Yes. I was blown away.
Man.
What
eliminator was that?
That one was the BTR eliminator, if I remember correctly. Now, here's my big problem. I took Stephon Cobbs as my fourth pick, so I just started 4 wide receivers.
Okay.
But here, my big problem was the fact that Cobbs, Price,
I know what you're gonna say,
and JSN all off on the same week.
Yeah. So that's just a strike, though, right? Like, is it eliminator, like 3 strikes and you're out type deal?
No, these ones are your one bad week, you're done.
No.
So
okay, yeah.
So yeah,
we'll see.
Again, I have identified a few guys late that have really, really good weeks that week. Shout out to Scott Robertson. He helped me out on that one. But like really good matchups in week 7 that I'm going to target late and hope that they have really, really good weeks that week.
Nice. Man, Scott, speaking of Scott, we just made a trade in like a 24-team dynasty league that starts 3 QBs. So he got Dawood Davis from me for Chance Nolan, which normally would just be awful, but like
he
go ahead.
He didn't tell me about the 3 QB thing, but he did DM me about that trade, and I told him I think he won it. I like Dawood Davis a little bit more than Chance Nolan.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are sleeping on Dawood Davis. I just moved him up in my rankings because I've been hearing some really good things. One of our people here at Campus of Canton is very closely tied to the Western Kentucky program. And she was saying, like, Malachi Corley is that dude. Like, he'll be awesome, but Dawood Davis is somebody else that people are going to be talking about once the season gets started as well. So I moved him up to my wide receiver 32 recently. I moved him up quite a bit. And I got Corley at 24.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm of the mind that I'm trying to really rebuild in that league. I won that league this last year. You picking here? What are you doing?
So I'm going to take somebody I haven't had the chance to take all year, because typically, whenever I have just somebody much better, or I'm either too early, or when I'm later in the draft, I'm like, okay, he'll be a great guy for me to fall to. He's gone. For some reason, that's the draft he goes off. So I'm going to take Rasheen Ali here.
Nice.
Running back out of Marshall. I don't think I've gotten a single share of him so far this year. So I'm like, you know what? I want one.
Yeah, he's always a solid pick.
Absolutely. But anyway, you were saying before that?
I don't remember. We were talking about, I won that league last year. So this year, 24-team dynasty. So now I'm going to have to rebuild.
Yeah.
So, I have Chance Nolan for hopefully a couple of years, and I have no QBs. It's more of like a need thing for me.
Yeah.
So if Dawood Davis goes off, he goes off. I'm curious to see what that Western Kentucky offense looks like as a whole.
I think we all are. Again, from what it sounds like, they're gonna try their damnedest to make sure to recreate what they did last year. Again, will they be as successful? Probably not. But even let's say, I think I did the math of this at one point where it's like, even if Dougie does 70% of what Zappy did last year, he's still a top 24 QB for CFF.
Yeah. Now, does your contact there, are they saying that he's definitely the guy?
Yes.
Austin Reed doesn't have a shot?
Again, it seems like the plan for Western Kentucky going forward is Sam Hartman. Matt, if that's not who you meant to take, just let me know and I'll switch somebody out. But they're saying that Dougie is the guy.
Okay.
Dougie is the guy. Austin Reed is a next year play.
Okay.
So don't
and how many years does Austin Reed have left?
He has 2. He has this year and next year.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, my thought at the beginning of this offseason was maybe grab guys like Velkamp or Darius Ocean, like some of the younger guys, and maybe they would, and maybe I could play something. But again, it sounds like that Western Kentucky is just building itself to be a transfer destination.
Yeah, which that's not a bad move in the NIL era for sure.
Clint Carlson says Western Kentucky's offense was still good the following year, but went to crap after the second year. So fair enough, I guess.
After Braum left a few years ago. Yeah. Well, man, I think that's when they brought in like Mike Sanford. Is that right, Clint Carlson? Clint, is that because I remember that, and Sanford just talk about a guy that's really fallen from grace over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. All right, hold on. I'm trying to contact Matt real quick, just making sure that he got the pick that he wanted. Did you get the pick you wanted? Because I know for a fact that like it used to be Bailey Zappi, for all Fantrax's faults. If I saw somebody draft Bailey Zappi, I knew something went wrong. But like now Sam Hartman being at the top of the queues and everything, I can't really tell if like that's what somebody actually meant to pick or if it is something else. Who
is he in the chat?
He is. I'm chatting with him on Twitter right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Carlson said Sanford's an offense killer.
Man, I've done so many of these previews, like just all back to back. Where's Sanford at right now? Is he in Colorado? Like, where is he?
I don't know.
He just went somewhere. Clint, look it up, man. Where is he at?
I'm sure Clint knows off the top of his head.
Yeah, it's like some.
Okay.
It's not coming to me, but it's like somewhere where he's gonna ruin the offense for sure.
All right, so Matt did not take Hartman. He instead is taking Josh Downs.
Okay.
All right, switched.
Does he want Hartman in the second round?
Out.
And it's a perfect switch.
I would say you're on the clock for second round now. And you got 8 seconds left, buddy. I'll switch him out with whoever he wants.
Cool. Man, have we seen Josh Downs go first round much?
I don't think we have.
I seen that in your mocks.
I don't think I've seen him go second round. I've not seen him go first round. Nope. Sorry, Matt. Tillman's off the board. Again, he's like texting me names right now. He says the app's failing him right now, so he can't see like who's there, who's not.
He said he got Sam Hartman again. Showing double Sam Hartman move in my
all right,
my draft room.
He is switching out for Jordan Addison instead of Sam Hartman. Okay. Honestly, switch Addison and Downs, and that I think that's a pretty good 1-2 start. I don't love Addison in the first round, but considering that's where he's going, like typically right there at the end of the first round, I think that's perfectly fine. All right.
Yeah.
Carp Golf or Ryan, you got 2 seconds left, buddy. Come on. Okay, Zach Charbonnet. That's a good pick.
There we go.
1 QB league, but there is a really good quarterback still on the board that has typically not fallen out of the second round in recent drafts that I'm thinking about going here.
Are you going to do it?
Am I? Or do I take your guy? Because I know there's a guy that you take like every second round.
Oh, I can't remember who that is right now.
I give you a hint. He was on the.
Oh wait,
he was on the thumbnail.
Yes. Of course.
I think I'm looking at the wide receivers. I think I like who I can get in the third round, so I think I'll just go ahead and grab my one quarterback here, and I'll go Caleb Williams, quarterback at a USC.
Yeah.
Again, one quarterback I probably could have waited, but like again, why not just go ahead and get a top guy off the board?
It's really fascinating how that changes strategy here. Remember last draft, I felt like,
dude, it's like I can't read the quarterback situation and everything because like the first draft, quarterbacks still flew off the board. Second draft, everybody waited so late, and I grabbed like 3 quarterbacks really early. Kenny's mad at me. I took Caleb. Lamau. Hey, Corey took Burton, so you ain't getting your guy, Josh.
Corey's like, I will not let you have your guy, Josh. I don't even know what I'm gonna do here.
Just go Chris Thornton.
Yeah, Chris Thornton. Man, I might as well try to grab him in the second round at the rate he's going now. We've definitely pushed up his value quite a bit.
I mean, deservedly. We saw the volume he got last year. Again, you can not believe in Todd Centeio, but like, how do you read that situation? Because like we saw that they do pretty well with a dual threat quarterback last year in Cole Johnson. So
yeah, I'm curious to see like what I definitely think it's Centeio that's going to be the guy.
Oh, he'll be the guy. Also, you're on the clock. I don't know if you realized.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Everybody got my guys, so. All right, we'll do Miles Price.
I literally just added him to my queue, and then he disappeared, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Dude, I've gotten so many shares of Miles Price recently.
Yeah. I think I'm going to just go... I might just go 3 wide receivers here. We'll see. It's all about value, right?
Oh, 100%.
Sam Hartman, there we go.
That's a legit Sam Hartman pick right there.
Yeah. Justin's like, I'll give Sam Hartman a home.
Yeah, 100%. And again, I'm adding wide receivers to my queue right now. I like who I'm imagining I can get back to me here in the next round. At least I'm hoping so. Unless all you guys out there who are listening are just like, let's take all the wide receivers before it gets back to Jared. All of them. Every single one.
Yeah.
Although there's still some good value at running back right now I like a lot. There goes one of them. Let's see.
Oh, see, so quarterbacks are going off a lot quicker this time.
Again, I can't. It's so again. You're right. I think it is that first tier that everybody feels the need to grab a top guy.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm curious to see how this comes back around. What did people drafted so far? I remember a lot of running backs first round. So maybe
looks like nobody's done heavy running back. I mean, Justin just took his second quarterback, but nobody went running back. That's something I've kind of noticed is a little bit different this year compared to past years. That people typically like to start heavy on running back in past years, but this year people have kind of moved off of that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Man, I'm just going to keep drafting wide receivers here.
Yep. That's a good...
Because, why not?
I'm starting to warm back up to Butte. Because,
me too.
Because, like, I was one where I started dropping him back a little bit and everything, but, like, he just got the number 7. Like, that shouldn't be enough, but, like, it's the little things like that tell me, like, okay...
It's the little things.
They're going to... Like, he's going to play, and he's going to be a focus for them. So, like, why not take the talent? I think he's going to be a first-round wide receiver next year. Dude's been absolutely incredible. I'm starting to warm back up to him, and I think third round he's incredible. Like, he's a great pick in the third round. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Corey sniped me on that one. I was literally putting my cursor over. I was putting my cursor over Quentin Johnson, and again I said, "Wow," and I'm gonna go Mr. Jordan Mims, running back out of Fresno State.
Yes, I love it.
I loved him at the beginning of the season. He jumped up so quickly into the second and third rounds. And like I love him in the third round, and so like to get him 3-8, I'll take that all day long. And there's 2 more running backs on the board that I like a lot. And then it kind of teardrops for me after that, to where it's just a lot of guys with a lot of questions. Quinn Ewers 3-9. By the way, Ryan, if you're listening, buddy, you're doing a great, good start in my opinion. Maybe a little early on Quinn Ewers, but I think good start for your first draft.
Yeah, we've been hanging out quite a bit doing DFS together the last few years, so he's not completely he's kind of underselling himself a little bit.
Oh, is he?
He's definitely got some skill. Yeah, so he's a good dude, man. Super fun to interact with, super nice guy, and knows his stuff for sure.
Sounds like I was being hustled. All right.
Yeah, maybe he was sharking there.
Maybe. All right, Kenny says that he would have gone 2 running backs in a row, but Bryce Young falling to him was too good for him to pass up.
I understand.
All right, so Wes Mantooth. Sure. Wes went quarterback, which is interesting in a 1 quarterback draft. I don't know if I necessarily made that entirely clear to him, so I feel bad a little bit. And
Wes, it's a one QB draft.
Exactly.
Hopefully he's on this. Hopefully he's on the live stream with us.
Oh yeah. Travis Dye in the third round. Again, it's a system play, not necessarily with him getting volume, but I feel like people expect USC to score a crap ton of points this year. And so if you can just grab a guy that's going to fall into the end zone probably two, maybe like the possibility of 2, maybe 3 times a game, I don't see why you wouldn't be unhappy with that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, this just screams Chris K influence over here. Going Travis, he's probably jealous of that pick for sure.
Absolutely. Josh, question in the chat here. Do you guys move up a wide receiver or a quarterback if it completes a stack? Are you a stack kind of guy, Josh?
I'm not. I'm always best available player in my mind, whatever's value. So I don't mess with stacks too much. I mean, I could see it more in like a redraft type league where like you're just trying to combine points, but in a best ball, I'm just going best available player. What about you?
So I think stacks are more fun than they are helpful, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know if they necessarily actually help you out that much. It's great knowing that sometimes on the same play, you get a crap ton of points because you have both of those guys involved in that play. But at the same time, like, I'm sure if you like broke down the actual statistics of it and everything, that you absolutely would run into a probability that in the long run, it's going to hurt your team more than it's going to help it. Like, that wouldn't surprise me that much.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like, DFS is obviously a place where you do stacks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But yeah, in these, I've just never found that to be a successful strategy. Maybe I'm just not smart enough to do it.
Ryan, you are underselling yourself, sir, because you successfully sniped me there. I wanted to get Stephon Cobbs there in the 4th round, but I'll go ahead and take the other.
That would have been incredible, Jared.
But I'm going to take the other wide receiver I like a lot here. Again, it's going to suck not having him for the first 4 weeks, but Dante Cephas, wide receiver out of Kent State. I'll take it once the action actually gets going. He's going to be absolutely incredible.
Yeah. All right, Dynasty Pros Tom. He's got to go Kamar Wheaton here.
Yep. There he goes.
There we go. I was expecting that. I was ready for you, Mr. Tom.
He knows. He knows.
So I'm gonna go Zach Evans. I feel like that's decent value here in the 4th.
Again, I don't think I have a single share of Zach Evans this year, mostly because like I take him at his word when he says he doesn't want to be a workhorse running back. Again, he has explosive plays, so again, I like him better in a best ball format. But at the same time, like, I don't want him as my week-to-week starter. All right, we got our first tight end off the board there in the 4th round. Also completely missed it, but Nick Singleton went off at 4-3. I've maintained heavily that he's going way too early in redraft right now. I love him. I took him as my one
very early.
Like I love him in Dynasty, but he is not somebody that I am going to, if he's going to continue going the 4th and 5th round, no way I'm going to have any of him in redraft.
Yeah. Well, I know you guys got a bunch of bunch of Penn State fans at C2C, but also I got a buddy, Iron City Renegades, Chad Volk. He plays a lot of CFF, and he was DMing me and texting me. He was like, "Hey, I don't understand why people are taking Nick Singleton so early because that offensive line is a mess."
Mm-hmm.
And it was a really interesting perspective for sure. Obviously Nick Singleton's talented, but it's not Trevion Henderson going to Ohio State, who was a top 5 line in average line yards per play.
Mm-hmm.
This is an offensive line that's going to prove it a little bit, and maybe it's a talent issue in the backfield, but I don't think like this still would have been high for Trevion Henderson in the 4th round last year, and I think that was a much more of a solid bet.
I agree with you 100% on that.
So,
all right,
we'll see what hopefully he proves us wrong because I got plenty of Nick Singleton shares, but just not in the 4th round.
No, not
more
not
like
in the
10th
4th
round range, like 5th, 6th running back.
Let's see who else.
All right,
off the board here. Couple of good So Cameron Peoples, again, kind of averaging out from last week. At 4th round, I'm still probably not going there, but Titus Wem was a good pickup as the 3rd running back there. Honestly, Titus Wem would have been a good pick in the 4th round. So,
yeah, Titus Wem's awesome.
Hey, Kiner. That's right, you're a big Kiner fan.
Oh, man, I love Kiner, dude. I just like that system, for running backs, and then. Man, I see a lot of Michael Warren and Corey Kiner, like the old Cincinnati running back from 3 or 4 years ago.
Don't do it, Corey. And don't do it. Don't do it, Corey.
Is he gonna take Chris Thornton?
No.
Corey.
No. He knows my strategy, and he knows what's about to happen. If he doesn't take this, he's gonna give me my guy. I'll take Michael Trigg, please. It's probably my 17,000th share I've picked up of Michael Trigg this offseason.
Yeah, I love it. So you coming back for Chris Thornton or what? Are you gonna go running back?
Depends on who's there. Corey says I'll leave him for you. Appreciate it, Corey. You the man. Yeah. Let me look at who is still available here, because again, there's a lot of value at quarterback still. Actually, even though we saw that kind of run on the top guys there. I think you haven't gotten a quarterback yet, right? If I remember correctly, yeah. So if you picked up one of these top guys here in the next round, I think that'd be very good for you.
Yeah, I'll probably fill out. I mean, I've been doing this all year in any best ball format, but just filling out my skill position players and then trying to see who's left at quarterback. So
yeah, and you can find some
who falls here.
You can find some great value. One of the eliminators I'm in right now, I took Tyler Shuck. It's like my first quarterback in like the 8th round, and I felt really good about that.
Yeah. One of the things I've been trying to do the last few years is play off of QB battles. And because usually when there's a QB battle, players get discounted a little bit. Like imagine if Tanner Mordecai was the clear QB1.
Oh,
right?
he would
he's
not
going to go in the 8th round.
Yeah, he'd be one of the top guys.
Yeah. So, Tyler Shuck's the same thing, right? If I can get Tyler Shuck in the whatever, he's going later now, but like if I get him in the 8th, 9th round, and then I can pull Morton in the 20th round, so, I'll take those shots.
So I'll ask you this, Josh, because this is something like I've kind of been thinking about a little bit more, where it's like, who would you rather, like, if you could only have Shuck or Morton, who would you rather have? Would you have the guy that you think is more talented, but is probably not going to start the year, or would you rather have the guy who will start the year? Because I got to the point where I think I'd rather have the guy who starts week 1. Because I think we all got burned 2 years ago with Mac Jones and Bryce Young, where everybody was convinced that Bryce Young was going to overtake Mac Jones at some point during the season. I scooped up Mac Jones in like late in several drafts, and it was incredible for me the rest of the way through. What's kind of your thought process on that?
Sure, I'm 100% agreement with you. I think this was a little bit of the Brian Robinson thing last year too.
Oh yeah, that's another great example.
Like he was going in like the 12th round, and yet he's a guy that he scored a ton of fantasy points last year, and it's like I think people saw talent behind him. So I'm with you. I'm just gonna take Shuck, and I know like he's got some like I think his biggest thing is like just questionable decision making skills, which is a huge deal. But it's not like he's not talented.
Yeah.
So I could see a world in where he keeps the job for sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't think this is I don't know. It's not. It's definitely riskier. It's like
people think that coaches are like itching to replace their guys more than they actually are.
Yeah.
Like it's not like when coaches designate a starter, when they bench a guy, in a way they're kind of admitting that they were wrong to start them, and so coaches don't want to be put in that position. So that's kind of how I look at it. I'd rather have a guy like Shuck.
Yeah. And Tyler, man, like he had a bad first throw in that spring game where he threw that pick 6.
Yeah.
But overall, like he had some throws that were really good. Mm-hmm. Like he's not terrible.
Yeah.
So I just think I think people are doing a little bit of the Will Rogers to him, where they're just kind of like discounting him. And it's like, well, if the offensive coordinator likes him, then the offensive coordinator likes him, or the head coach likes him, they like him. And you should listen to the head coach. Because they're usually pretty smart. There's a reason why they're making millions of dollars.
Oh yeah. By the way, Clint says in the chat he's betting on the guy who's won the starting quarterback job at 2 different Power 5 schools, which is shock. Yeah, yeah. I mean, clearly coaches see something in him to where they want to start him. So,
yeah. Did you see that recent art? Was it The Athletic or what?
Ryan,
what publication was it?
Ryan, you're rude. You're nasty. You're rude.
Why?
You're rude. Alrighty. I'm gonna take another wide receiver here. We're gonna keep going with Mac. Give me Mac Hippenhammer.
Oh, I love it.
I was debating between him and I asked Matt because Matt Hicks ran out on the timer, and I asked him did you really want Cowling? And he said yes, but it was 100% a panic pick.
That's amazing.
Love that.
Hey man, that minute clock goes quick.
It does. It really, really does. So Torrey Horton comes off here at 6'6". He's been rising up recently. Are you somebody, Josh, where you would rather wait until later to grab Stovall? Or are you somebody who's looking at Horton here in the 6th, 7th round?
Some of this is my own bias. I've liked Horton for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So at Nevada, I liked him a lot as a guy that was going to replace Romeo Doubs. So he's a guy that I just like the talent there. And I think this is his time to shine. This coaching staff knows him well. But I do think Moquan Stovall is a good value late.
I agree.
So I don't think there's really going wrong with either one of them. I mean, if Horton's going to continue to creep up, then eventually he's going to. Oh
my God, y'all! I apologize to everyone watching the stream that I did not have the draft room up for y'all to watch. I am so I just looked over. I'm like, why is there only 2 faces there? Oh my God! I apologize, y'all. That's probably so boring just looking at our faces the whole time.
And here is talking about Texas Tech.
Sorry about that.
Well, why don't you want to do a quick rundown of the draft or?
Yeah, let's look at this at a distance and everything. So first round, heavy running back and wide receiver. Malik Cunningham being the first quarterback off the board is interesting, but I kind of get it with his upside. Second round, a lot of the guys you kind of expect to come off the board came off the board. Sam Hartman ahead of Young was interesting. But again, we see clearly that the top tier of quarterbacks in the next 3 rounds, only 2 quarterbacks come off the board. What are your thoughts overall, Josh? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks like a typical draft, honestly, that we typically say. I was expecting maybe QBs to go a little bit later. And so I'm interested what these next 4 picks are with quarterback, but yeah, I think this is a typical draft that we see in these mocks so far. There's some reach picks, right?
Yeah, of course.
But then a lot of guys are going at typical value. It's fun to put a little bit of money on it too, and just see if that changes how people pick. Have you seen any changes, or is it pretty much?
So that's something I've always kind of disagreed a little bit with some of the other experts around the field, because a lot of people are dead set on oh no, you have to have money on it, otherwise people aren't going to pick the same way. And maybe it's just me projecting how I view it onto everyone else, but I don't change how I pick whether there's money or not, because to me it's the experience that's valuable. It's me pretending that if there was money on this, how would I pick? Would I like what I had going into it? And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Also, I have my eye on one. Damn you!
I was waiting to see. I didn't want to talk about him when we were going through the draft, but man, Will Rogers in the 7th round.
That's excellent, dude.
Take it.
I was so I didn't want to take a second QB early, but I saw him still sitting there, and I'm I like him so much better than pretty much everybody else I'm looking at here. And there's another running back here I'm looking at. I like him a lot, but he has the same bye week as another one of my running backs, so I'm going to hold off just a little bit.
Have you noticed Will Rogers slipping a little bit?
I don't understand why.
I know.
That's a guy
he is
a guaranteed 3,500 yards and 40 touchdowns. Or no, excuse me, I got that backwards. 4,000 yards and 35 touchdowns. about as clear cut as you can
absolutely.
get with that. Man, I
Yeah,
don't really
he's going to
like.
give you a solid floor at that position.
Don't really like a lot of what I'm looking at here. I'll be real. How many running backs do I have already? I got 2 already.
People
So
underestimate how hard it is to like live stream and like do a draft at the same time.
it really is.
It's no
Corey says,
joke.
"I know I'm not going to upset you here in the 7th round. He took Brandon Armstrong. Yep, Corey, that doesn't upset me whatsoever. I'm on the clock. Oops.
Yeah, you got 30 seconds. You're good.
Best ball versus eliminator. I don't have to worry about bye weeks as much. So, regardless of the fact that I've already got a guy on this bye week, I will take the guy who I think is the best value right now, and I'll take Dominic Richardson, running back out of Oklahoma State. Despite the fact that him and Jordan Mims have the same bye week. But it's a season-long format, so everybody's going to have a bye week at some point. Doesn't matter if they're all on the same week.
And if somehow your players can hit on that week, then you have your guys for the rest of the season. You know, honestly, like I don't take bye weeks into consideration that much until the end of the draft, like in my last 4 or 5 rounds. If I'm looking at my stuff,
I would say the only thing I would be a little concerned about is, especially in a short one like this, is if you have a lot of them on the same week, because then you literally have just zeros going in for some of your starting spots, and that's where you can get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
But and then eliminators. If you're in an eliminator, bye weeks are a must to keep track of. Because again, if you have all your best players off on the same week, that could be the week where it's all said and done for you. Even if you've had a great season up until that point, they're all off on the same week. It could easily take you out. Now, I'm sure, Josh, again, you've talked about eliminators where it's like a strike system, where it's like strike 1, strike 2.
Yeah, that's all I've played in. So I'm not, the 1 week eliminators, that would totally be different for sure.
Matt, I know for a fact you did not want Sean Dykes there, so we're going to replace Sean Dykes.
He's just drafting blind over here.
Again, it sounds like he's having some trouble like with the app and everything, which again, it happens. Sure. That's why, again, I'm glad that Fantrax made it so easy to switch players in, and you don't have to back up the whole draft in order to get back up to a person's pick or anything like that. Maybe it was there in the old draft room, but like it's so much easier to do now as a commissioner.
Right.
Let's see. Who do I have in my queue here? Okay.
Fantrax is definitely improving.
Very much so. Again, a lot of glitches recently, and a lot of people have been really ticked off about it. But like, some people are like, "Oh, they should have gotten this done in the beta." I'm like, "Well, it wasn't there in the beta, so what do you want them to do?" Like, you can't fix a bug if you don't know that it's there.
Yeah.
God, absolutely. Again, I'm looking here, and like, I have only 2 wide receivers, so like, part of me is like telling me like, go ahead and grab a wide receiver, but recent news with a certain player makes me think that the discount is getting too heavy on him. A lot of people were thinking that he is somebody. Oh, there goes our boy Eric Gilbert. I think a lot of people are kind of overestimating how much it's going to impact him. A lot of people are saying 4 weeks, but I'm hearing now it could be as little as 1. And so I'm going to take Chris Rodriguez, running back out of Kentucky.
Interesting.
Because if he is not suspended, then he's going at an incredible discount right now.
Yeah, for sure. I'm interested to see what Ramon Jefferson coming in there does. Because that dude is no joke. Like, Ramon is a good running back. So it better be a one week suspension.
I was say, and he's only got 1 year of eligibility left.
Yeah. So I'm curious, when they brought him in, that did make me think like, hey, is there more to that than what's getting let on? If it's only 1 game, though, I mean, that's really nothing to worry about. And that backfield's going to be incredible.
Again, and he's my 4th quarterback or 4th running back here off the board for me. So, like, if he misses out on those first couple of weeks, I got guys ahead of him that I was planning on being my starters anyway.
Yeah.
Again, the only thing now is that it's causing me to miss out on wide receiver a little bit.
Yeah. All right. I think I'm going to go Tavion Robinson here.
That's a good pick. I was considering him.
Yeah.
Both taking Kentucky boys.
Yeah. I like Tavion. I don't think he's a 1-for-1 the way that a lot of people think with Wan'Dale Robinson, but I do think he's a good route runner. He's a good player. He should get a lot of targets.
I agree. Dang, Christopher Brooks comes off here. I thought he was somebody that might make it back to me later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
where has he been going in your mocks?
Let me look at my ADP real quick. So let me make sure this is set to June. Yes, it's to June. So recently in June, he was taken as where are you, bugger? Like BYU, I should be. Oh, there he goes. He's been taken as the RB35, which is an ADP of 98.6, so pretty much like 8th, 9th round. So this is right where he's going. Right about here. Again, if he hits, he'll be another one of those guys that was an absolute steal here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
he's going to be interesting to see what he's going to do. I mean, all the reports are good, so just got to see if he actually does it.
So Parker Washington goes off here in the 8th. Tinsley went off in the 4th. Where do you fall on those two? Who are you targeting out of those two if you're targeting either one?
Yeah, I'm not really targeting either one, but I do like Tinsley more just because, like, and maybe I'm just falling too much into like system thinking where, like, as far as with can't remember Juricic. I can't remember how to say his name. The Juricic. The offensive coordinator. Yeah, that guy. The offensive coordinator. He always, like, outside wide receivers are who win in his offense.
Yes.
And so it's just for me. And Tinsley's, I don't know. I think people think like, oh, he played in Conference USA. He's not going to be able to make the leap up. Coaches have said that he has stood out.
Yes.
So I'm going to trust the coaches and I'm going to trust the system and who produces in that. And not that Parker Washington is bad. He's probably going to be a better pro than Tinsley. But I just think that Tinsley's going to have more opportunities to succeed in that offense than Parker Washington.
I agree. Again, he's taking over the same X position that Jahan Dotson played in last year. And again, like, I am a systems guy. I like seeing who's filling that exact spot. It's the reason why I like Trey Palmer at Nebraska this year. Again, I probably shouldn't say these names because people are about to snipe them off of me, but like, I like Trey Palmer a lot. Yeah. He's playing the same slot position that Jordan Addison played in last year, and Whipple loves to feed that slot position. That could have been just Addison being that talented, but at the same time, like, if you have, it's kind of like Mitch Hart says all the time and everything. It's like, you have a mindset and it has a good hit rate, stick with it. Don't try to like go back and forth on specific players and everything, because that's where you kind of get yourself in trouble sometimes.
Yeah.
All right. What is?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And if Tinsley wasn't a good player, if I didn't think he was good, then I may have a different opinion. But I do think that Tinsley's a good player, and it wasn't just a system thing at Western Kentucky. So, all right, I'm gonna go Byron Cardwell here.
That's a good pick.
Yeah,
right. I have one person who's on my mind here coming down the stretch. Okay, so we talked Nicholas Singleton earlier, and Tyree Chambers is a good pick. We talked Nicholas Singleton earlier. Luther Burden typically goes around here in the 9th round. You find that a little bit better?
Yeah, I like Luther Burden here. I really like Luther Burden in the 10th round, starting in the 10th round. But I mean, you're splitting hairs on the 9th round because it seems like they're going to funnel targets to him, no matter who's the quarterback there. So I can't, especially PPR. I like Luther Burden in this range. I see him succeeding more than Nick Singleton this year.
In year one, I can agree. I think Singleton, if he gets the offensive line figured out, will have the higher upside long term. Yeah. Because again, I don't know how much Luther Burden can really produce in Mizzou's offense.
Yeah.
But
how long do you think he's at Missouri? You think he'll stick?
I think there's a good chance he transfers after this one.
Yeah.
I think that
he's gonna get some deal, right? Like some massive deal.
He'll get a deal. He'll go to a school. Again, not to put the homer bias in here and everything like that, but UGA has something to prove with their offense this year. And if UGA has a really good year on offense and shows that they can be productive with their wide receivers, it wouldn't shock me if Burden makes the switch over to UGA, because UGA finished second in the recruiting against Mizzou. So it would not surprise me if Burden makes that jump over to Georgia. Again, if they can prove that they can utilize their wide receivers better this year.
Yeah. I mean, what is that, man? Because I know Todd Monken's a good OC. Is that is that the head coach? Is he limiting the offense? Or?
It's Georgia taking their foot off the gas because they're up so much early on in the game.
Yeah.
Georgia has all the efficiency, has all the explosiveness that a lot of these other offenses have. But it's only for the first quarter and a half to halftime, because they're just up so much by the time you get there. So they just take their foot off the gas completely.
Right.
Bama still that's something that's kind of changed with Bama recently, is that Saban's willing to pour it on a little bit more than he has been in the past. He keeps his guys out there longer.
Yeah.
He may be a bit more conservative on play calling, but his guys are still out there. Kirby will just straight up take all the starters out at some point and says all right, you're done for the day. And on some level, I get it, because you want to protect their health, and statistically, it helps you win in the long term, because again, you just keep guys healthy. But at the same time, you got a lot of these offensive recruits, a lot of these guys in the transfer portal who look at UGA and say hey, I'll go over here where I'm just going to play more.
Right. Yeah, and you wonder about that, right? And it seems like that's a recruiting ploy for Nick Saban.
It is.
To go ahead and keep those guys in longer, which makes sense. I mean, I get both philosophies, right? Because at the end of the day, bottom line is you win championships, but if you get a reputation that your offense just isn't going to be dynamic, then that can hurt you in recruiting a little bit, I'm sure.
Tommy Harvey says Bennett can't utilize those wide receivers. Untrue. Bennett had one of the best deep passing metrics last year, when they actually allowed him to throw him deep. Again, a lot of it was them just setting him up for success. To where, again, run. It's kind of like how you're talking earlier, Josh, about I forget what system we were talking about. Yeah, JMU, where it's run, take the deep shot. Bennett can hit the deep shots. Yeah. And especially if a guy like Arian Smith this year, who is an absolute burner, literally one of the fastest players in college football, he stays healthy and Bennett can hit him consistently. Oh boy, it's going to be fun. All right, I'm going to take one of my guys here. I'll take Trey Palmer.
Nice.
I'm surprised after me saying
once
the
you
name.
Mentioned him. Yeah, once you mentioned him, it was
only a matter of time.
Yeah.
Corey going 3 quarterbacks here.
What's your take? And I know we're getting into. I'm sorry if I'm taking this. Oh, Dynasty Pros, Tom, you suck. I wanted Jalen Robinson. Okay, I'm gonna take Harrison Whaley here. I definitely want that NIU backfield.
Yeah, see, one of those two guys is gonna be awesome.
Yeah. So what? Who takes over next year at QB? Stetson Bennett's gone, right?
Yes.
He's got
this is his last year
eligibility. So who takes over in your mind?
So, as it stands today, from what I know, I expect it to be Carson Beck.
Yeah.
I expect it to be Carson Beck. I do not expect Brock Vandegrift, as of today, to work out at Georgia. I have heard recently, very recently, and again, I haven't gotten a ton of information. It was more of my guys close to the program kind of teasing me a little bit, but
oh no,
I have heard Gunnar Stockton. All they sent me was Gunnar Stockton buzz, and I'm like,
okay,
oh, okay. And let's be real, in terms of skill set and everything, Gunnar Stockton is just Stetson Bennett, but better at almost everything.
Yeah.
A little bit better. A little bit thicker. Hits passes just a little bit more consistently. Can run like Bennett can, so that if they want to use his legs, he can.
Yeah.
So if Stockton takes that next step forward, I think he is that dude for UGA possibly in 2024. Again, right now I say Carson Beck, but I can tell you a little bit more off air because again I don't want to spread too many things that I've heard rumors about and everything. But let's just say that if it's Stockton and Beck are completely even, I think Stockton gets the nod.
Okay. Yeah, man, I just like the way that Beck spun it in the spring game. It was really interesting. He was a pretty sharp dude. At least gives a high floor to whatever that.
His big problem is hold on, I'm on board here. All right, 11th round, dual threat quarterback, best ball. Don't have to guess which weeks he's going to go off. Let's go Garrett Schrader.
Nice, love it.
But Carson Beck, in terms of hitting those bigger passes, yeah, he's probably one of the best quarterbacks on the entire roster. Here's the problem: he can't hit simple throws. He can't hit routine crossing routes, can't hit throws out in the flat. It's very, very frustrating because again, you watch him in the spring game, he looked great when he played against the second team defense. All of a sudden he goes up against the first team defense, things speed up quite a bit, and he can't hit those throws like he was.
Yeah, and that, the one thing that Kirby Smart wants you to be able to do. Hit the easy pass.
Exactly. That's the big problem with him.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, man.
Keelan Walker there at 11-6 is supposed to be Brandon Campbell, according to Tommy.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Also, Antonio Harmon.
That's an interesting one. That's a name I've been seeing a lot more with Mississippi State. Did I miss something?
So I think what happened, at least from what I read, is in April, essentially Mike Leach had said that Antonio Harmon's a really physical receiver and that he's in the mix for replacing Mekhi Polk with Caleb Ducking, those two guys right now. Okay. But of course there's Ra Thomas there that is now getting discounted, was what everybody assumed was going to replace. So I don't know.
So I'm guessing that means I was you're all on
Harmon.
Wally then.
No, I'm not, because I think Wally's become an incredible value. The guy is dropping to the 18th, 20th round when he was in the 10th, 12th
again,
round.
My thing is I think Wally had his chance to be the number one guy, and again, once you fall out of favor with Leach, it seems like it's very hard to get back into favor with him.
Yeah.
And so I personally would rather just take a shot on somebody else. Austin Williams is somebody who I have been grabbing late in some deeper drafts and stuff like that. Because, again, he was a guy coming back from experience, kind of plays that outside role a little bit. He's a guy I'll take the shot on over Wally.
Yeah, and he's a guy that's been in the system for a long time. And, yeah, Leach likes him. He's just a guy that has limited athletic ability.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but we'll see. I mean, I definitely think Wally was still the wide receiver 2 last year, even if he had his shot and didn't.
That's my thing, though, is I think he stays wide receiver 2. I want to go for the guy who goes wide receiver 1.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll say. Well, that's not going to be, in my opinion, that's not Austin Williams. I mean, I think that'd be Harmon or Ducking, who nobody's going after because he's a redshirt senior.
Makes sense.
Or Ra Thomas. But we'll see. I mean, who knows? It always changes in that offense.
Oh, yeah. All right, Anthony Richardson coming off here at the start of the 12th round. Again, over the last couple of rounds here, Josh, anything kind of stick out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting seeing a Joshua Cephas go, Antonio Harmon. These are guys that are going a little bit earlier than normal. And then Brad Roberts, RIP, right? He's out for the year, or at least out till October.
Well, again, nothing. I don't think has anything been confirmed on that, or is it just what the coaching or what the coach has been saying, and that and we're pretty sure that his word is not to be trusted a lot with a lot of these guys' health. So do we have anything else besides him, or is it just we taking his word?
I think just the coach saying something about October. like him not coming back to October. So
yeah, if that's
that'd be
true,
a pretty big lie.
Yeah.
So has he known to been blatantly lie like that for like?
Yeah, or I don't think anything season long. Again, he's known for like lying about whether a person will play in like that day's game or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll see, but yeah, I'm not taking a guy in the 10th round that the coach is saying is out to October.
No, fair enough. Alrighty. See, let me look at what I got.
What about you? Any observations for you?
About Air Force?
No. Sorry.
The draft among the guys.
Last few rounds.
Well, I still need Matt to replace Sean Dykes. Matt still need a replacement for Dykes. Lol. Anyway, again, I've noticed that it looks like with this one QB format that a lot of people are kind of comfortable with, again, waiting on quarterback and then like double, if not triple tapping right here in the middle. Just grab, again, I've always said that, all right, he's going to switch out Sean Dykes for Laporta. So, but again, like, I've said consistently throughout this year that's like you have a clear top tier quarterbacks, but a really big second tier. So I think a lot of people are kind of comfortable with the idea of missing out on a top quarterback, and then you're just grab bagging 3 quarterbacks from this second tier right here, and like some of these, like Mando over here, Mordecai, McCall, Anthony Richardson, all 3 of those guys hit. You got an incredible room right there. Same thing over here, Colin Schlee, John Rice Plumlee, Brandon Armstrong. If those guys hit, I just realized I was on the clock that entire time. Oops. I'm taking David Davis, I guess. That's fine. He was near the top of my queue anyway, but I like David Davis as well, so I'll take him as my, what is this, 5th wide receiver? Sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oops. That's what happens when you live stream and also draft at the same time.
Dude, it's a rough world out there when you're trying to do that. Oh, I'm up. I'm not gonna make the same mistake as you.
Don't make the same mistake as me.
I'm gonna go Gavin Bartholomew here.
Okay. Is that your first tight end off the board? It is.
Yeah. I've been waiting. I wanted Urisak earlier, and then he went Urisak or Gilbert, and then they both went in the 8th round. So I like Bartholomew. I like him, coming in with replacing Kroll, but then also with Signetti coming in, who used his tight ends pretty well, and Hunter Long at Boston College.
I was just thinking about something here, and I wonder if Kenny does what I think he does here. Because he just took JoJo Earl.
You think he's going to double tap?
I wonder if he double taps. No, I'm thinking Tyler. One of my things I did in a recent draft is I double tapped JoJo and Tyler Harrell.
Yeah. It's not a bad deal.
I like double tapping those two. I think is actually a really, really good play, especially later here, especially if you're struggling at wide receiver. Just because, again, we all like Burton, but Bama can support 2 CFF wide receivers pretty easily and consistently. So grabbing that number 2 guy is such a huge discount down here. Why not just grab 2 of them, and one of them is going to work out probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, I'm just mostly off of Ja'Cory. I know he's kind of a bit more the Mechie role, but I feel like if Harrell is like solely there to fill the speedster role, I feel like Burton can then slide back maybe and take on more of a Mechie role in terms of like more possession wide receiver. And I still think that Brooks is the one that kind of falls back. And then JoJo, he's just Brandon, Ultimate Caskell ain't playing, buddy.
Yeah.
I'll text him. I think he thinks that he's probably taking Brandon Campbell, but I think he
doesn't realize.
Yeah, he doesn't realize that Brandon Campbell's already been taken. I'll text him real quick. But again, when it comes to the Bama wide receiver room, that's kind of how my thought process is. I like Burton. I'll grab Burton early, but I'll also double tap JoJo Earl and Tyler Harrell.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I like that. Man, I think it's really interesting too, like this year in general, just how deep to me the running back position is versus like wide receivers in some ways. And like you can still get value weight at wide receiver for sure. But running backs, like even in my queue right now, I just have so many running backs that I still like. I think that could really hit.
Damn it. Hold on. Undo last pick. And Kenny overheard me. He wants to go Tyler Harrell here. Tyler Harrell's not in the system, so I'm switching him out for another Bama wide receiver that's not going to play this year. But so he did do the double tap of Tyler? Earl and Harrell.
Okay. And then, am I up or
you are up? But I'm gonna ask.
If you went to Willoughby.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
I'll DM him real quick. You make your pick.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go Tyler Harrell. Just kidding. Who did I want here? I just had a guy in my mind. Let's see.
All right, let's see who else is here again. Right. Got a couple of picks there. I got to figure out. Here. I love Adrian Martinez's value right now. Absolutely insane.
Yeah. I mean, he fits that system like a glove, man. I think it's gonna be a good one for him.
Corey's freaking out in the chat. He's like, hold on, 2 guys picked Harrell. I'm like, I'm aware. Texted the second guy already.
So you're just gonna come back and fill it in later.
Yeah.
But it's crazy, like with Martinez here, like you still got like our boy from Texas Tech, Tyler Shuck on the board. You got Tyler Buckner still out there, Clay Millen, Jordan Travis. I mean, there's still like really good quarterbacks.
Still on the board here.
Like still on the board. And it's just crazy. I mean, why I love CFF, it's like I think it was last draft, right? Like was it Zach that was in the chat? Like, please somebody pick Daquan Finn. And nobody was picking him. And then he goes in the 10th round here, right? Like, there's just such a high variance. And even if you have ADP, we've done 30 drafts, right?
No, it's
like there's the variance is crazy.
No, he is again, when you get into these later drafts, that's why I have the draft predictor tool, because somebody's ADP in like a 12th round is very different than somebody's ADP in like the 4th round. 4th round, there's way less variance. My draft predictor tool takes into that variance into account to where it's like, okay, it'll catch that as you get into the 10th round. If somebody's like ADP is like 12th round, as you enter like the 9th, 10th round, my draft predictor tool will sit there and say like, alrighty, the possibility of him coming off the board is already starting, versus if you're in the 4th round, it won't say that it's like the possibility of him coming off the board isn't there until like maybe mid 3rd round. Yeah. Does that make sense? Oh shoot, I'm on the clock. Oh shoot. Shoot. I'm gonna swap out my pick real quick there. I'm cheating a little bit here, but like I'm gonna take my running back that I wanted.
Yeah.
Give me Dedrick Parson.
Nice.
But also Ty Edwards is he says Ty Edwards needs to be changed to someone else. He's draftable. No, Ty Edwards is not draftable. I don't know where you heard that, Tommy, but Ty Edwards is playing this year for UTSA. I think you're thinking of maybe Brendan Brady, but Brendan Brady came back. Am I crazy, Josh?
Needs to move. Oh yeah. Edwards needs to be moved to someone else. He is draftable. Oh, Edwards is a placeholder for Traylon Smith.
Okay. That is what
he's saying. That needs to be moved to like Kadra Cobbs or something like that.
Yeah, let me look.
Because somebody else could want Ty Edwards. Yeah.
No, I agree 100%. Yeah, Ty Edwards is not a good placeholder. Is BJ Daniels is out, right? Or is he?
Yeah.
So I can switch him out.
He should be on. Yeah.
So switch out. There we go. Okay. I see what you mean, Tommy. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to insult your intelligence. That's my bad.
Tommy's just trying to help out, man.
He really is, and I felt bad.
Nah, it's great.
I forgot to change my thing back from UTSA to other people, and I looked at it and I'm just like, why? Who are all these people? And I'm like, that's not my cue.
Only UTSA players left.
Oh yeah, I'm just like, what is going on here?
That's funny.
Alrighty, let me look at my roster. I haven't looked at my roster in a while here.
Yeah, I should probably do that too.
And like figured out
I do like that feature on Fantrax where in the player queue place, like it shows you how many QBs, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends you got.
Oh really? Where is that? Maybe it's because I don't have the
like right over like the players. Oh yeah, maybe like where the chat is in the middle where you like can select the play or type in players.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Regardless of whether or not I need another quarterback, I'm going to take another quarterback because this guy shouldn't be here this late. I know it's a one quarterback league, but like, let me double check to make sure I don't have anybody at wide receiver or running back that I feel like I have to take. Yeah, no. Aiden O'Connell should never be, even in a one QB league, should not be available in the 14th round.
But that's what's happening, man. In these drafts, it's like quarterbacks are falling really far.
But like, have I told you, Josh, like how O'Connell finished last year, like in the games that he started?
You should repeat it.
I absolutely should. Let me find him real quick because he finished as. Where are you? Let me just. Aiden. All right, he finished as the quarterback 59 last year, so it's like, oh, that's gross, right? Here was his finish once he started, like a full-time started, and they put him over Jack Plummer. 17, 77, 52, 14, 13, 14, 22. Dude was a top 24 QB in 5 out of the 7 weeks that he started for Purdue.
Yeah.
That is a base floor I will take almost any game.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's a guy that like was red hot right at the end of the year, like you're saying. Yeah. He's a guy that should definitely be a top 10 round pick for sure in 2 QB leagues. All right, let's see. Jalen McMillan just went. I think I'm going to go. I typically wouldn't take this guy this high, but because we have limited rounds, Justin McGriff, I'm going to take here.
No, that's good.
Just take a shot on that Utah State.
Honestly,
he's a guy that.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, he's like the guy that like, you just hear his name over and over again.
He's the one guy who's returning from last year. I've heard his and Brian Cobb's names the most. Yeah. I kind of singled in on Brian Cobb's kind of early on, but like I've warmed up to Justin McGriff as a guy. Especially if Cobb's is going to continue to be taken. Like some people were drafting him in like the 4th, 5th round. I'm like, guys, I was like leading that train early on in the offseason, but I think that's too high. And especially if McGriff's here in the 14th round, give me McGriff.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? I think we'd all say it's like about value. And it's like, and a guy like McGriff, it's like, man, if I can take a shot on the Utah State potential wide receiver 1 or even wide receiver 2, it still has some value, especially in best ball.
Oh yeah.
There at Utah State. So yeah, that's going to be a fun team to watch again this year for sure. All Blake Anderson teams are because they stink at defense. They're awesome on offense.
Golly, I'm looking at running back here, man. And I'm just like, it's gross.
Yeah.
It's pretty gross as far as the eye can see. Again, good quarterbacks coming off the board here in like the 14th round. Jarrett Dougie, I know, again, some people don't love him. But at the same time, if that offense is humming, he's going to have the volume you need. Clay Millen in the 15th. Great pick right there.
Yep. Yeah, Clay Millen, man. He's gonna be. Do you see Cam Miller's his QB rankings for this next year? You know who that is?
Cam Miller, I think. No.
Mellor, Mellor. Anyways, he's a guy that a few years ago had hit on Zach Wilson before he had his breakout year, And so he's kind of made a name off of that. And so he ranked all 130 QBs. And I think he had Clay Millen as his like 129th out of 130 quarterbacks.
No, sir.
I was like, man, that's just insulting.
Dude,
he had like New Mexico State quarterbacks over him. I'm like, that's just rude.
Dude,
why would you do that to Clay Millen?
Not to throw shade at any particular company. I think it was a Pro Football Network or something like that. I can't remember. Somebody put out like a college fantasy rankings the other day, and it was, to be kind, it was. If Zach Kuntz is your 100, like they had him as like their 132nd best player for fantasy.
Oh wow!
And I was like,
yeah,
that's the one that kind of stuck off to me off the top of my head. But like I remember going to the end of the list and they had like 300 players ranked, and like 300. I think Clay Millen was down there. There was like some other people down there that I was just like, okay, if this is who you're putting down here, I don't even want to know who you put near the top.
Right.
Yeah,
it's pretty insane, man.
Tom taking Ty Edwards there. Definitely makes sense as to why he wanted to make sure that was all sorted out earlier.
He's like, I'm fighting for my guy. Get it, Tom. He wants his guys. I love Tom, man.
Oh,
he's got a conviction.
Corey
about
is
his guys.
Asking, can he have Sean Tyler? Sure. Oops, damn it. I was gonna give you Sean Tyler, there, Corey, but fine. Guess you want to take Justin Lockhart from me, asshole.
Rude.
That's some rude stuff.
Come on, Corey.
Speaking of which, I'm gonna take another wide receiver here, and we talked about him earlier, but again, system pick, value pick. Give me milk on so far.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think he's a guy, man. This was back in March. He was just free.
He was
at that point, right? And then, spring reports came out. But yeah, it's interesting to watch how things change, right? And the
100%.
Industry and these drafts. Like Dante Wright was the guy going in like the 6th, 8th round early on.
So,
and he hasn't been picked, right? In this draft?
No, because he's not going to be a starter for them.
Right. Yeah.
So I'll do something fun with you here, Josh. One of the great things about the ADP sheet that we have set up over here is I can directly compare how like June ADP to February ADP. We can run through some guys that have dropped big time or gone up big time.
Yeah,
so,
do it.
Higher in February, so these are guys that have dropped big time. At quarterback,
okay.
Seth Hennigan.
Okay.
He was at 86. He's now like 188. Evan Prater. That's a name I'm kind of surprised by because, again, like if anything, his job has gotten more secure as the season's gone on.
Right.
And he's he's almost a Desmond Ridder clone in terms of a lot of his skill set. And Desmond Ridder finished as, what did he finish as last year? QB 12 last year.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about that?
That's a little bit surprising. Yeah, I mean, I think that's surprising because I think Evan Prater, when you talk about Prater, you're talking about a QB that has all the skills you want in a CFF QB, right? When we call them at Fantasy Points, we call them Konami code quarterbacks. Yes, cheat codes. That guy's gonna run the ball, and if Ben Bryant has come in and has pushed him, then that means that his ceiling as a passer, floor as a passer, is elevating. And if Evan Prater can pass the ball, that dude is an unbelievable athlete.
Yes.
And so it's like, man, that guy, I mean, there's a range of outcomes, and maybe this is a little bit hyperbole, but he could be a league winner.
He could be.
If he takes over that job. He could average 27 points a game, and you're getting him in the, what is he going at ADP right now?
Currently he's going at 220. So like 19th, 20th round.
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely
those are the
insane.
type of guys that you want to try to hit on because they're just such big upside guys. Like, I think that's something that people don't do enough of late in drafts is just swing for the fences.
Go for league winners.
Yeah.
Especially in best ball. You're not going to have the chance to pick them up later.
Right. And like, we playing some redraft leagues together, do it in redraft leagues too, because you're just churning the back of your roster anyways. You talk
Exactly.
about this all the time.
If they don't work out in the first couple of weeks, they're easy drops. You want to have some easy drops in the first couple of weeks because you're going to want to have guys that you could pick up.
Right. Yeah. So I've always been of that philosophy of like, man, like be a Mark McGuire, like just swing for the fences and you'll strike out, sure, but like you'll hit on some too, and those hits late in drafts to me are the league winners.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of league winners, like again, I'm thinking about going running back here, but again, there's one player here that I'm like, what's going on here? Like, I know I'm relatively high on him, but like,
yeah.
Anyway, I'll take my running back here because I'm curious to see where this guy goes. I'm sure, Josh, how many quarterbacks do you have already? You've got two. You're about to probably take the best third quarterback off the board. But I'm going to take... So this is something I've started doing a lot recently because I love Damian Martinez. But he's going ahead of Deshaun Fenwick in most drafts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? When Martinez comes off the board, I'll just pick up Fenwick. It's another one of those situations where it's like, I love Damian Martinez. I think he can be a very productive running back by year's end. But Fenwick's going to have the job year one or week one. So I'll bet on the guy keeping the main job over the new freshman coming in, even if I love Martinez quite a bit. Speaking of running backs.
It'd be great.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say it'd be great to pair them together if you could.
You could.
Because then you secure that Oregon State backfield is a good backfield to have. Like, that's produced over the last 4 years with Jonathan Smith. Anyways, what were you gonna say? Sorry,
I was gonna say, speaking of running backs that have fallen, some of these are kind of more obvious than others, but like Ulysses Bentley, again, RB1 at SMU, going to RB2 at Ole Miss. I get that.
Yeah.
Nate Noel at Appalachian State. I think it's more of like people don't. I guess that's more along the lines of people just like wanting to stay away from Appalachian State's backfield because it's so hard to predict when they go off and when they don't.
Mm-hmm.
The one that's kind of surprising to me is Carson Steele. He's fallen about 91 spots since February. What do you think about that one, Josh?
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, Carson Steele is an interesting one to me because I'm not a huge fan of him personally, but like he's also like a guy that like produces as a freshman in the MAC, like, you know, and it's the MAC, like it's easy pickings once you get into MAC play. So I could definitely see him. He shouldn't be dropping. I would have expected him to elevate, if anything.
He's dropped,
but I can't really. He's not a guy. Yeah, he's not a guy that I was like drafting when he was going early on. And so I just have kind of left him off my board. I got other guys I'm trying to get later, but
makes sense.
Wide
receivers.
It's interesting though. He's dropped 91 spots. That's 7 rounds. That's a lot.
That it's kind of like some of these other guys where it's like once they kind of fall into that kind of mosh pit tier, which is I guess what I'm going to call it from here on out, where it's like there's so much variance between it that that's where it can just all of a sudden where it's like people are just going to keep passing on him. Just because they just feel like he's part of the same tier.
Yeah, and some of the guys make sense, right? Like an Evan Prater is in a battle with Ben Bryant, or Dante Wright gets passed up or whatever. We learn more news. Carson Steele, like it's not like there's like more news that has come out.
Clint Carson
at Ball State.
Dropping some good nuggets here. Ball State, who Carson Steele plays for, plays guess who in the non-con?
Who?
Murray State and UConn.
Oh,
so
there you go. That's worth picking up right there.
I would say that's worth picking up a quarterback for 2 or running back for 2 weeks right there. Wide receivers that have fallen off a little bit. Gary Bryant Jr. at USC. I think he's a pretty good value in drafts now. Because I think there's a non-zero chance that he's one of the top 2 wide receivers at USC this year. He's going to be playing that outside boundary. He's a talent in his own right.
He's a health thing, right? I mean, more than anything, it's like, man, if his hammy can like not flare up on him. I mean, the guy's got all the talent in the world, and now he's got a QB that can actually throw to him and the chance to, step into that role. So yeah. I mean, I think part of it, right, is just that it's such a crowded wide receiver room. There's a lot of talent in that room.
True.
So has Mario Williams gone yet?
Oh, he's gone. He went off a long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah, 7-2.
I'm about to say, how is this a draft? Okay. I'm about to say how I've been talking to you the whole time, so I'm not paying attention to the draft room, but I'm just having fun kicking it too.
No, yeah, it's all good.
Oh, but I'm up.
You are up.
I'm gonna go. I need some tight ends here, so I'm gonna go Dalton Kincaid, a guy pick that allegedly Bama offered a $7 million NIL deal to.
That's no way that's true.
Offer NIL deals.
I agree. I can see Bama offering a NIL deal. $7 million for a tight end.
No, not seven figures. Sorry, like a mil though. I mean, still a lot of money.
That'd be a lot of money.
Yeah.
But even so,
I don't know. I know they offered him an NIL deal though.
Oh no, yeah.
So they try to get him from Utah. It was all over the Utah message boards, and but
Jefferson.
Kincaid in that offense would have been fun.
Oh wait. Okay, so I need to find Broussard. Okay, which Broussard, Justin?
Jarek.
Yeah, but there's also Ari Broussard. He's kind of been a name kind of flowing around a little bit. Also,
for sure.
Once again, too far. I'll take my fourth quarterback.
Gosh,
give me the upside of Tyler Shuck.
That's crazy, man.
Give me the upside.
I think
of
I got thrown
Shuck.
off because you drafted him on accident a few rounds ago, and then he came off, so he went out of my queue.
Oh dang! That might be a little sneaky on me. If that's what happened.
No.
Okay.
No, it's all good.
All right, so he has clarified he does not want KJ Jefferson, which KJ Jefferson is a great pick regardless, but he wants Jarek Broussard rather than KJ Jefferson.
Okay, so what are you going to do here, man? Are you going to try to pair him up with Morton, or are you just going to trust that he's going to have that job the whole time?
I think I'm going to trust that he has the job the whole time because he's my fourth quarterback in this league. If he doesn't work out, I got 3 other quarterbacks who I feel very comfortable with, who none of them have the same bye week, so it's not like I'll be forced to play a certain quarterback any week. So, like again, 20 rounds, 1 QB. I don't want a fourth of my roster quarterbacks at that point, especially when one of them's going to get a 0 any given week. I think I'll just I'll roll the dice on this one and just take Shuck as my 17th round. I'm blown away by that. Absolutely blown away by that.
Yeah, that's a great steal.
Oh, here we go. I gotta start loading up on tight ends here a little bit. I do need to take another tight end at some point.
Yeah.
Some good options left on the board though. Like
there's some really good options.
Like I like the top 4, but man, if you strike out on the top 4, like if you play your cards right, there's some fun upside options later on.
Yeah. And that's all I've been doing in a lot of these lately is I've just loaded up on skill positions and gone tight end later. Try to get Kincaid or Mallory or...
Dude, Mallory goes way late in some of these. Like, I know he's an injury concern, but still.
Yeah. And what's interesting is, like, he's going to ACC Media Days. In the spring game, like, they said that he was the coaching staff said he was the most dominant player in spring ball when he was there. And they don't have a clear wide receiver 1, right? Like, it's a decent chance that Xavier Restrepo is going to lead that team in receptions at the wide receiver position. So Mallory, like, there's a good shot, right, that he's going to produce.
Oh yeah. Alrighty. Oh wait, it's not my turn yet. I thought it was my turn. I'm going to take a wide receiver here, and it depends on whether or not. Not Brew McCoy. Was not considering Brew McCoy.
Oh snap!
So. Again, this is the late part of the draft where you're just like taking your guys and stuff like that, or you're just shooting for upside. I think I'm going to take a wide receiver here. And looking at the other positions, I'll take a wide receiver here. And I'll shoot for the upside of the Hawaii system this year. Give me Zion Bowens.
Yeah.
Wide receiver out of Hawaii.
That's a fun one. That's gonna be a fascinating system to see. It's definitely one of those that could be a league winner for CFF if that all comes together in year one.
Oh, 100%.
Another guy that goes super late in these drafts that's like it's interesting to me is Jalen Knighton now. I mean his ADP.
I was just looking at him and I was curious to see if he makes it out of this draft. Because that like we'll cover some of the guys that we're kind of surprised didn't get taken at the end of this, but like he would be at the top of my list if he somehow made it through 20 rounds. Because I get it that a lot of people are concerned that his entire role last year is situational due to the fact that, as Austin Nace said in the latest campus game, because everybody else died.
Right.
But at the same time, like, you know, he earned, I'd say, more carries. Like, he's a guy that, like, when called upon, he did well.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. In the spring game, if you go back and watch the way they used Henry Parrish in that spring game, which is a lot on like, you know, just some flare routes and like just some like, you know, basic routes to the running back, where he had like green grass in front of him. Like now imagine Jalen Knighton in that role.
Yep.
Where Parrish is a good back, but he's not fast like Knighton is. Knighton is the type you give him a crease and he is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was watching that spring game and I'm going like, holy smokes. Like if Knighton is playing that Parrish role, like he's going to be a viable piece. Now he only may be part of it. Like Quorum was part of it.
Yeah.
But like, he's going to have a role where he can excel. And it could be him and Parrish that split the backfield. But
I think it'd be a good 1-2 punch for Miami.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think Parrish is another one that like, everyone in Miami is saying Parrish is like the dude, like, or he's a dude.
Yeah.
And they really like him. But I'm still of the mindset that that talent wins out. And I think eventually Trevante Citizen's gonna play a role this year of some sort. But it's just how quickly can a freshman that's coming in the summer pick up playbook and blitz package and all that stuff.
I would say he wasn't there during the spring, right?
No, he wasn't. He's come in though. He's 217. He's got some buzz around him. Some insiders that I pay attention to quite a bit because I'm a big Miami fan. Some insiders that I pay attention to are like just bullish on him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to see. I mean, he's definitely the most talented running back in that backfield, but at the same time, even if he plays a role like Knighton has a role because what he
100%.
does is special. Nobody else in that team can do it, and they're going to need explosive plays. So,
and again, we know that if everybody else gets injured, Knighton will be that dude.
Yeah, exactly. He can take 35 carries, even if he only gets 3.9 yards per carry. Whatever.
Hey, man, as long as he's also getting 5 receptions out of it as well. Hey, there he goes.
Yeah, there we go. Okay,
there we
good.
go.
We don't have to talk about our boy afterwards.
Some good wide receivers left on the board here.
There are. Yeah, for sure. I need to figure out what I'm going to do with these last couple picks.
I'm taking a tight end.
I'm talking about one guy.
Again, if
we'll talk about him here in a minute, though.
I will talk about 2 guys here that I had fun last week when I double tapped them at the end of the draft, and that was Jeff Foreman and to Valence Hunt. I probably won't do that again this week, but honestly, if they're both going this late, I'll double tap that and just figure out which one is figure out which one is which later.
You don't even need to figure it out.
No, again, it's best ball.
It's best ball.
So I love double tapping those 2. That's a fun double tap for me.
Oh man, Ben Simmons, that was a good pick. I like Ben Simmons this year with
look at all these tight ends coming off the board here at the end.
Yeah. I think we all have the same idea. I'm gonna go Nesbitt here from UNC.
Get the upside.
Yeah. I mean, I just like a guy that basically essentially playing a wide receiver role in spring ball because they didn't have enough bodies.
Tom,
that coaching staff loves Nesbitt. You take your guy.
Yeah, Tyreek James. Like him a lot this year.
Yeah.
I think the offense takes a step forward this year with their new offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm gonna take my guy.
Do it.
I'll take my wide receiver here because now that I've mentioned that system, I'm not as Carrier, interesting. I haven't seen anybody take him from Central Michigan, but interesting play.
Yeah.
I'll take my guy here, Jay Wyatt, wide receiver out of Tulane.
Yeah.
When he and the offensive coordinator, who's now at Tulane, were last united, it was at Central Missouri. He put up well over 1,000 yards as their leading receiver.
Yeah.
I think it was like 1,300 receiving yards. And so if that connection is still there and he still wants to utilize Shea Wyatt the same way, I will take that upside here in the 19th round all day long.
Yeah.
Grant Dubose is another great wide receiver pick here in the 19th round.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, that Shea's a guy that Brainbridge and I talked about quite a bit when that offensive coordinator came over. So I like that pick a lot.
Grant Dubose is a good pick I mentioned, and he is that Charlotte offense. We talked about it. I talked about Chris Moxley a couple weeks ago on CTN, where it's that Charlotte offense, I think, has been underrated overall. Because again, their defense is terrible. They're going to be forced to pass the ball. And let's not forget that Chris Reynolds last year finished as quarterback 31. Now, that's not super sexy, but he's clearly a guy that could be CFF relevant. And they focus in on one guy like Dubose. I like him quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sure. Ryan, you made my job easier because I was deciding between two tight ends. Latu is one of them. I'm going to take the other one here. After I double check to make sure he doesn't have the same bye week as Trigg. Nope, we're good. George Takis.
Yeah.
I like just the way things are setting up there. We've seen Boston College utilize the tight end really well in the past. He is coming over from Notre Dame, following his tight ends coach as the new offensive coordinator there. He's coming over to Jurkovec, who is his old teammate. I think a lot of things are kind of setting up to where George Takis is going to be a key part of the Eagles' offense this upcoming year, and could easily be a very good safety blanket for Jurkovec early on or as the year goes along.
Yeah.
You took Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah, I like him more than Brew McCoy. I mean, again, this is a system with Josh Heupel that really the slot. There's been a slot receiver and an outside receiver that I think 5 of the last 8 years that have been the top 2 wide receivers. And Hyatt is the guy that that's the guy that Hendon Hooker was throwing balls to all offseason. Yep. And apparently Hyatt's hungry, gained 20 pounds. 4'3", 140. I mean, he's a guy that's working hard. So I could definitely see him coming and playing that Bayless Jones role, which is man, is that going to be an every week producer? Maybe not, but he'll have some weeks where he can score 20 points.
So Morace there double tapped Ragsdale and Oscar Attaway for North Texas. I like that.
Yeah, for sure.
One of those guys is going to get a crap ton of carries this year.
Yeah. Attaway is so talented, man. If he can stay healthy.
Yeah, Atawa, that's probably the first time I've seen him come off the board. But new system over there. Maybe as a veteran, he gets a little bit more work this year.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that's always talented. He was just the system fit was a little iffy.
All right, and
it was just a system that was going to feed.
With that, we finish the whole draft. Good job, everyone. Made great time. So yeah, we'll kind of go through it here. We'll kind of do an overview as what we thought of the draft overall. And then we'll talk about players at each position that we were kind of surprised made it all the way through to the end here. So yeah, Josh, we kind of covered the first half of the draft a little bit already, but overall, how'd you feel about this draft? Do you like your team? Do you not like your team? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I like this team. I liked going 3 wide receivers early here, and then I could settle in and go after running backs and quarterbacks and tight ends later. So yeah, I think it was a fun draft. It's always interesting to see. I think particularly early here, there's some guys that had just gone, like Cameron Peebles, he went early last week, but
yeah.
Malachi Corley had typically gone later in drafts. There were some guys early that I felt like went a little bit earlier than ADP would suggest, as current ADP. But overall, man, this was really fun, man. These are always fun drafts to do. It's the one QB aspect of it makes it a different strategy.
It does.
So it's fun to see how that plays out for sure. And then 20 rounds in a best ball. I think some of us are used to drafting 26, 28, 35 rounds.
Kind of forces you to be more particular about which players you take.
Exactly. I mean, it's a different thought process. So I like that a lot for sure.
And again, I felt like I took advantage of quarterbacks, the second tier quarterbacks falling late. Because again, if you tell me any team I walk into, even in a redraft, I walk in with Caleb Williams, Garrett Schrader, Aiden O'Connell, and Tyler Shuck as my four quarterbacks, I'm a happy man. Yeah. Running back, I felt like I did very well. I got a lot of my favorite guys. I regret a little bit the Chris Rodriguez pick, because I feel like I may have utilized that to grab myself a little bit better at wide receiver, which wide receiver is where I'm the most iffy at. Because I have my top two guys, the Cephas and Hip and Hammer, but the rest, almost all of them, are system plays, and there's a chance that some of these guys just could end up being absolute duds. And so I need, out of these, again, from Tracy, Palmer, Davis, Stovall, Bowens, Wyatt, I need like at least half of those guys to be hits for me if I'm going to have a chance at winning this best ball.
Yeah. It does feel like with 20 rounds with limited roster spots, it made me hesitate on taking guys that are a little bit riskier than I normally would. Just like, oh, I got 35 rounds. I can mess around and try to hit a home run here.
Yeah,
but
if one of my
guys that I'm more sure of.
Yeah, if one of my wide receivers doesn't work out, I got 10 others that can will probably make up for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, also, Ryan said in the chat, he said, phew, that was hard, especially the last 10 rounds. All of my stuff I owe to Josh. His info is what I use. So, Josh, pat yourself on the back there. Ryan really appreciates you.
Yeah, well, he's one of our subscribers at Fantasy Points. And again, we've been doing stuff for 2 years together. So, nice. He's a fun dude, man. And I hope he does well. So I hope he wins more than I hope I win. So it'll be fun.
And Kenny Linson just says, good job. All right, let's talk about some of these guys who we were surprised made it through 20 rounds. So let's start with quarterback. Josh, I'll let you start. Who are some quarterbacks you were surprised did not come off the board?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, let me see here who I have still in my queue. Honestly, I mean, I think a lot of the QBs that I expected to went. Again, some of this I wasn't watching 100%, but did Talia go? I didn't see Talia go.
Talia went. Where are you, Talia?
Maybe
found him. 10-3.
10-3. Okay. Well, he went way sooner than I was expecting. I would say there wasn't too many surprises for me as far as at quarterback. I think most of the guys, this seems pretty normal. The guys that went, I think I was more surprised at how late some of these quarterbacks went.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of yellow in the second half of this draft.
Yeah. I mean, even like a Buckner is usually going top 12 rounds, even KJ Jefferson show. Like all these guys, Leary isn't falling to the 15th round.
Yes.
Clay Millen is usually higher. So these are all guys that, at least in the drafts that I'm in a lot, like they're going higher. So I was, again, I know it's a 2 QB versus 1 QB, but
I got two names here that really stick out to me, and that is one, Drake May out of UNC. Again, I think he has the inside track to that starting job, and if he runs nearly even half of what Sam Howell ran last year, I think he'll be a value in these drafts. And then the aforementioned Evan Prater, I'm still surprised that people are consistently passing up on him as a starting QB at Cincinnati. again, everything kind of points that it's going to be him. He looked by far the best from everything I heard, the best out of the spring. I'm surprised more people aren't taking shots on him, especially over guys like Spencer Rattler, who isn't going to be throwing a ton. Grant Wells goes off here in the 20th round. Keaton Slovis in the 17th. Who else would I take him over? I'll be real. These quarterbacks late are really, really nice. So maybe I understand it a little bit more, but even still, like, I don't know. Maybe it's just how deep the quarterback class is this year. Tommy Harvey says in the chat, Hunter Deckers, JT Daniels, Grant Gunnell, and Seth Hennigan and Bo Nix were the ones that surprised him. Any of those names kind of surprise you?
I mean, I think definitely JT Daniels is a guy that I could definitely see going off on the board. Hunter Deckers is one that I absolutely think could outplay his ADP at this point. Like, just the hype that's coming out of Iowa State on that guy, and if he's really going to provide, I think it's his rushing potential that has me more surprised than anything else. But like, that guy sounds like he might be a future NFL quarterback, and so that's really interesting.
Kenny is asking if he can switch his last guy for a quarterback. Yeah, sure.
Evan Prater.
Sure. Who do you want? Yeah, I guarantee he's gonna say Evan Prater. Anyway, running backs. People you were surprised didn't come off the board.
Yeah, let's see here. Who do I have still left in here? I do think somebody like a Ramon Jefferson was a guy that I think is worth taking a shot on at this point, especially if Chris Rodriguez is more in the 4-game suspension range. I mean, they're out of conference schedule. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I remember it being like decently easy. And so that's a guy that I could see carving out a role early on and giving you a little bit of a head start here that you could grab the top 20 picks. And I do think, man, this is a guy we talked about before, but I think that a guy like Cartavius Norton is a guy that you should probably at this point pair with a Jarrell Brock. And I know you're a big Brock guy, but
no, I'm a big Norton guy as well.
I think Norton's gonna have a chance.
No, I definitely agree. I definitely agree with you there. And again, with a 20-round best ball, it's hard because again, you don't want to clog your roster too much with guys that you're just like, oh, they're like safety blankets in case your guy fails. So like, if you have, I guess it's how early you plan on taking Jarrell Brock. It's kind of a similar thing I did with Shuck. Because Shuck was my 17th round quarterback, I felt less need to grab, and my 4th quarterback off the board, I felt less need to grab Baron Morton.
That's so true.
But if I grabbed Tyler Shuck as like my 2nd quarterback, I probably would have spent my 4th quarterback on Baron Morton, just to be sure. My running backs that I was surprised by. I'm a big fan of Mike Washington at Buffalo, so I'm kind of surprised people aren't taking shots there. Jordan Waters out of Duke. I know that Duke is one of those teams where it's very easy. It's you don't expect them to do a ton once they actually get into conference play. But if you're trying to like supplement your teams, Jordan Waters I think is one to really keep an eye out for, because when a lot of your guys, especially group of 5 guys, are struggling early on because they're playing against Power 5 out of conference, Duke's out there playing against lower competition, and that's where their running backs typically shine. Like, look at Mateo Durant last year. Absolutely killed it the first couple of games last year. I'm surprised more people aren't taking shots on Waters kind of to help out their roster a little bit.
Yeah, I'll say this about Waters, and it's a little bit confusing. I don't know what's happening, but neither Phil Steele nor Athlon had him as their top running back on the depth charts.
Who do they have?
Terry Moore.
Okay,
Terry Moore was the one, and then can't remember the other one, but I can't remember the other one off the top of my head, but it was a backup running back last year as well. So Terry Moore's a true freshman. That was a little bit weird. Mike Elko spoke to Phil Steele. And so it's just a little bit confusing on like, why isn't Jordan Waters named the starter in either one? So it's caused me a little bit of hesitation with Jordan Waters in general.
I can understand that.
Wait and see in the spring. But, all the numbers and the metrics look really good for him. So it's like, to be honest, I didn't watch enough of Duke beyond the first 4 games of the year when Mateo Durant was just amazing.
Yeah, he definitely fell off as the year went along. Let me see if I can find him real quick on my stats from last year. He finished relatively high. Yeah, he finished as the RB20, but he started the year as RB2, RB18, RB13, RB13. He fell off a little bit for RB69, and then he RB23, and then he did not finish above RB35 the rest of the season. So again, his first half of the season was awesome. Second half,
yeah.
Tommy in the chat says people have surprised him. He also mentioned Mike Washington. He says Nate Noel, Appalachian State. We talked about him earlier. Kenny McIntosh out of Georgia. Kendall Milton did go off 14th round, it looks like there. Again, as the Georgia guy, I do believe Kendall Milton is going to be the guy at Georgia this year. I think a lot of people are kind of overstating how big Kenny McIntosh's role is going to be. He'll be the clear number 2 back. Like, it's not like I'm saying he's going to be falling back or anything like that in the depth chart, but like, I think it's going to be a clear, like, Kendall Milton is like their go-to run between the tackles guy, and you'll see Kenny McIntosh like have his specific role. But Milton, I think, will get 200 plus touches this year. I don't think McIntosh gets to that point. And then Ulysses Bentley over at Ole Miss. What do you think about that one, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I still think I think a little bit differently than you and Zach Evans. I think Zach Evans is viewing this more as a contract year. I don't remember him saying, since he's been at Ole Miss, that he doesn't want to be a bell cow. I remember those comments at TCU. And so I think this is Zach Evans' backfield, and Ulysses Bentley's going to fill a supplemental role. And I just don't see, even if Zach Evans gets hurt, like I think Quinshon Judkins is going to come in.
I can agree there.
Split carries with Ulysses Bentley. I just think Ulysses Bentley is a satellite back essentially in this offense. And I don't know. I mean, will that put up points on occasional weeks? Yes, but I don't ever see him being the replacement or a handcuff necessarily for Zach Evans. I guess that's how I'd say that.
No, I agree. He couldn't even really be a bell cow back in the AAC. I doubt he's able to translate that to being a bell cow in the SEC. Again, like you said, even if Zach Evans gets injured. So
he's just not a guy like the coach. He's a guy that's a quarterback in high school. The coaches try to force feed him as a bell cow. He could not run in between the tackles. Like I've watched all of his starts. I'm pretty confident in that at SMU, just because I was on him pretty early, and I love him, but he's not a guy that can run between the tackles. If you can't run between the tackles in the AAC, you're not running between the tackles in the SEC West.
Oh yeah, hell no.
So,
alrighty, so let's go.
And I think are worth taking shots on. I do like Deontay Thornton from Oregon. He's a guy that in best ball in particular intrigues me because I think he can have some big weeks. So I'm not necessarily surprised because he's not going high, but he's a guy that I would take some risks on. Amari Huggins-Bruce with Tyler Harrell out of there.
True.
He's a guy, again, in best ball. I could see him having some really big weeks, and he's worth the coaching staff likes him. And as long as they're not dropping the ball on the 1 yard line, he should be able to stay on the field.
Exactly.
And then another guy, again, he's not a guy that a lot of people are taking, but I just think like Vale from Utah is a guy. I think he's going to get fed
Devon Vale.
Yeah. Yes. I think he's like he's a big target. Cameron Rising seemed to really like him in spring ball. Like he's not a guy that I would discount in that offense. And so he's a guy that I would take some shots on. Jaron Bradley's another one at Texas Tech.
He was on my list.
A guy, yeah, in that system that I don't know. At this point, I think he's the favorite for that wide receiver 2 role.
I would agree with you. He's who I have listed there. Although there's another name that popped up recently. I can't remember off the top of my head. Mike Bainbridge posted in his Discord that I thought was a pretty good article. It kind of broke down some of the
Sparkman.
Wasn't Spark? It was somebody I hadn't heard of.
Okay.
It was like a holdover from last year, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
It wasn't Sparkman. It wasn't Brett. It wasn't Jaron. But even so, some guys I thought it's interesting that they stayed on here. I mentioned the duo from Arkansas State. I'm surprised nobody took shots on them there, especially if you can grab both of them here right at the end. I see no reason why not.
Yeah.
Roderick Burns out of North Texas, or just really any shots on a North Texas wide receiver, I think would have been warranted here in the later rounds. Lorenzo Styles at Notre Dame, I think something people could take a shot on there.
Yeah.
And then, let's see, who else? I mean, Chris Bell, I have him on my list here and everything. Like, reuniting with Kirk Soraka as offensive coordinator. The last time that we saw Chris Bell really do well was when Kirk Soraka was offensive coordinator. So maybe something to keep an eye out there. Tommy Harvey,
for sure.
With his guys in the chat, he says Roderick Burns, which mentioned already, to Bo Collins and Malik Neighbors. Either of those two guys strike you as surprises here, Josh?
Yeah, if Cade Klubnik takes over, then maybe Bo Collins. But yeah, I'm it's going to be hard other than Will Shipley and that Clemson offense right now to take a shot with the lack of information. I would say a couple other wide receivers that I think are worth taking shots on that people aren't are Taylor Morin and Keyshawn Williams from Wake Forest.
True.
Again, this is an offense that out of the last 5 years, it's been a slot receiver and an outside receiver every single year.
Mm-hmm.
And Donovan Green's kind of the number 2 guy right now that people are going after. And that would just be an anomaly for the system. Typically it's been, the Jacoby Robersons of the world, the Greg Dortch, like those guys.
Gotcha.
That are
good call out.
So, yeah.
Alrighty, we'll finish up with tight end, or we could skip over tight end if there's literally no tight ends that you were surprised didn't get drafted.
Well, let me make sure he didn't get drafted. I know he wasn't when I was looking at the end, but Josh Wiley, the Cincinnati tight end.
Nope, he was not drafted.
He's a guy. Yeah, he's a guy for me, with vacated production in that passing game. He's a guy for me that I like this year. I think he's an NFL tight end. He just fell off the map in the offense last year. So maybe he doesn't come back.
There's some concern about just how many tight ends that Cincinnati's running there.
For sure.
Because you got Leonard Taylor, who definitely ate into Josh Wiley at times last year. And then also Shimon Mateer. He is a redshirt freshman this year that a lot of people have started kind of hyping up. I think he was a 4-star coming out of high school. And so kind of taking that next step this year, I think a lot of people are thinking that maybe he takes over that tight end room if he really does make that full leap. Other guys that maybe I'm thinking of, Tommy and I are on the same page. Xavier Gravett, tight end out of Coastal Carolina. That's just a system play. Why not? And then Mason Tharp, tight end out of Texas Tech. Big 6 foot.
That's the Baylor Cup?
I mean, Tharp is a 6'9" red zone target monster. So right. I will take that over Baylor Cup, who has hardly been able to stay healthy during any of his time. I think Tharp offers something different than anybody else on the field for Texas Tech offers. So I think that is a fun kind of dart throw and just a way to grab a piece of that system.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that for sure.
Clint Carlson says Iowa State has loved throwing to their tall players over the years. Maybe their tight end will have a decent season. Clint, when you figure out who the tight end for Iowa State is, you let me know.
Yeah, I mean, there's always always a chance. We'll see. Hey, one other guy that, I mean, I'm not surprised he didn't go, but he's a guy that I think people should start considering is Blake Shapen at QB.
Yeah.
For Baylor. I see some Zach Wilson in his game as far as like with Jeff Grimes as the OC. He does run the ball too. He's not a statue.
No.
He's not Bohannon, but he'll give you some ground game. He'll give you what Zach Wilson did. So I think he unlocks some of that passing. I do think the Baylor passing game is another one that will be more viable this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think people are targeting Ben Sims. But Blake Shapen's one that like he's rising up my own board. I just really like his talent.
He is definitely somebody that I wouldn't be surprised if 2 weeks into the season I'm picking him up off a waiver wire. I don't think I'm going to be drafting him, but like I wouldn't be surprised if like 2 weeks in I'm like, all right, waiver wire picks of the week, Blake Shapen here right at the top. So.
Yeah, for sure. He'll be intriguing. I think he unlocks that offense.
Alrighty, that pretty much brings us to the end. Again, good draft, Josh. You've been incredible as always, man. Love the knowledge you always bring to every show that I have you on, man. Again, before we get out of here, just let the people know what you've been working on and where they can find all your stuff. Yeah,
so I'm over at Fantasy Points. We just came out with a CFB subscription. We actually, the C2C podcast, I think it's just Collins and Austin's. They're actually part of our media group. So we have some partnerships with C2C, and which is really fun. But we're right now, man, Wes Huber and I are in the middle of deep diving into conference previews. So we're putting out 90-minute podcasts on all the different conferences. And then we're also pairing that with like 30-page conference previews. So
wow,
we're just pumping out a lot of content. And so, we're just trying to keep up with you, Jared, over at C2C, man. You guys killed it with your draft guide, man. You guys did a great job.
Speaking of that guide, absolutely go and buy yourself a copy of our CFF guide, breakdowns for all 131 teams, as well as player profiles for 36 quarterbacks, 48 running backs, 60 wide receivers, 24 tight ends, rankings that go even further than that. If you're a dynasty player, we have Nate Marquise's freshman 50 section where he breaks down 50 different freshmen that are likely to produce in year one for their systems, at least get a role this upcoming year. We got a sample mock draft in there for you guys to take a look at, built from ADP. It's not just a random mock draft that I took in there and stuck in there. It is one that is built entirely off the ADP that we built over June. And then we also got some analytical stuff in there, some awesome charts for you guys to take a look at regarding how different systems in CFF are played, which ones benefit their wide receiver ones the most, which ones benefit their wide receiver twos the most, stuff like that. Absolutely go check that out. 231 pages of CFF goodness only for $20. One of the best deals I would say there is out there right now. But absolutely also go check out Josh's stuff as well. Again, just amazing in-depth stuff he's got going on over there. Yeah, I'm getting tired, so like my brain's like half working at the moment. I'm trying to make sure
well, get out of here, dude.
run through everything. If I forgot anything, I'm sure I'll remember it next week. Really appreciate all of you guys who are tuning in, and for those of you who are still struggling as we go through all the housekeeping here at the end, really appreciate you guys, and we'll be back next week. I'm sure I'll have another awesome guest. So appreciate it, guys, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you guys.